How's it going? Yo, it's Oscar Tsukayama, and welcome to a new segment of VmediArts, the Green Room, where we talk to actors from film, TV, and theater, and just artists in general. We are pleased to welcome our very first guest. Hello to the Honorable Hudson Yang, who recently wrapped the 6th season of the historic ABC sitcom Fresh Off the Boat.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming, man. Come on, it's been quite the commute here, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I had to click a couple buttons. That was crazy.
Hudson, you've become such an important advocate for Asian representation in Hollywood at such a young age. Maybe to, gas you up just a little bit. And correct me if I'm wrong, but as a teenager, you have been nominated multiple times for Best Young Actor in the NAACP Image Awards and the Teen Choice Awards. Not to mention, you were on the Act to Change Advisory Council. Dude, come on. Tell me about all these amazing things that you've done so far.
I mean, it's crazy. I never expected any of this would happen when I started acting. And because of especially Teen Choice Awards, which was incredible, I got to meet so many awesome people and some people that I've dreamed of meeting since I was a little boy. I met Chris Pratt at the Teen Choice Awards and I shook his hand and my hand was I'm never watching it again. It was crazy. And every event is it's mind-blowing to think that I was nominated to be there, because there's so many incredible actors and talents there who just outshine me in every way, and I'm oh gosh, I don't even want to I don't even want to walk the red carpet after these guys. They're so cool. It's crazy. But
I mean, you see them as role models, but they see you as an equal at the same time, so it's how does that make you feel, man? I feel that's pretty awesome in my mind.
It's really cool. It's really awesome.
Man, having your role models as friends, no big deal, but dude, so you started off young, growing up on the Hollywood lot, doing Fresh Off the Boat. Tell me about auditioning for the show. Did you you're Eddie Huang in the show, but did you initially audition for Eddie Huang?
That was my second audition, or third or fourth maybe. It was my early audition, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I went into audition for Emery, right? And I was the middle brother, and I was fine with that. I was having fun, and I left the room wishing everybody else, telling everyone else that they should get the role. Good luck, everyone. I hope you get it. Which is weird because you don't really want the other people to get the role instead of you. But I did, and I think, I don't know, they were oh, that's kind of confusing. He's kind of weird. But then Eddie Huang, the actual executive producer at the time, saw my casting tape and was hey, Hudson Yang. He said his dad worked for Wall Street Journal. He knew my dad, so he was oh, Jeff Yang. So he messaged my dad and he was yo, Jeff, you're still auditioning for my show, because he's definitely not right for that role. And my dad was oh, geez, that was kind of harsh. You don't have to say that. That's kind of mean. But no, what he meant was that instead of playing Emery, I should play Eddie. So basically my entire career is thanks to Eddie Huang, who's a really cool guy. And yeah, it was really interesting, actually, because then I came in, we did a bunch of chemistry reads, and I had no clue what I was doing the whole time. I just sat by the snack bar eating all the whole time until they called me to do some acting. And I was oh, this is fun. I got to skip school. So Eddie Huang is a class actor. He's so fun. He's such a cool guy. I figured out from that very moment what kind of character Eddie was. He was an outgoing, kind of no filter, just cool guy who does what he wants.
I remember you saying earlier that this is one of your first times almost acting. Did you have an acting coach as well?
But yeah, I had an acting coach. He's a really great guy, and I still keep in touch with him. We go out to eat a lot. He's been with me since I was super young, and he's probably one of the biggest influences on my acting career and my personal development. Yeah, his name is Mark Schwartz. Great guy. But I talk way too fast, and when I talk fast, I can't tell. It sounds like I'm talking really, really slow when I talk at a normal pace. And so every single director who has ever worked with me has always at one point in time said, Hudson, slow down.
You said you were talking too fast. I have the same I'm probably talking too fast right now, let's be real. But I don't know, I feel when I talk fast, I'm just excited. And so and let's be real, Fresh Off the Boat, very historic show, especially for the Asian community, Asian Hollywood. But were there any storylines that you were super excited about in particular?
I was very young, so I didn't really know how important it was at that time. So the only thing I was excited for was oh, Jeremy Lin's gonna be on the show. Oh, Shaq's gonna be on the show. Oh my God. I mean, back then, I didn't care about sports at all. The only thing I cared about was Jeremy Lin. I was a Lin Sanity fan from day one because of my dad, of course. And then I learned about Shaq and got to hear all these guys from the show, from my friends, and that's when I kind of got hyped up about him. But for certain, Jeremy Lin made my day. I was when I first met him too, I was sitting in wardrobe, the haircut trailer, and I was getting my hair like shaved, right? Because I had to get like that one episode where I had to get Eddie Money in the back of my head.
Yeah.
I was sitting there getting that cut into my hair, and Jeremy just walks in behind me and starts watching my hair get cut, and I was like, "What?" It was crazy.
When did you figure out that like Fresh Off the Boat was like a historic show?
I mean, my dad kind of drilled it into my head every single day. Like I wasn't listening to him for the first year. I was like, okay, yeah, Dad, I get it. It's historic because you got the first show canceled, right? Kind of roasting him a little bit, but I think after like the second season is when I really like picked up on like, wait a second, Dad's not joking. This is like a big deal for people. This is like historic. The first full Asian American cast in 20 years, and it's doing pretty well. Kind of crazy, and that's when I started like really thinking about my position right now. I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of have to do something. I kind of use my platform, and that's like, even though I was still kind of crazy, still kind of mental as a kid, I did start to pick up on like the responsibility that I had.
I read some of your dad's papers before, and like he wrote like a really good one about right during the George Floyd death about Asians speaking up, and like Asian like how we've had such like a passive history of just like not speaking up against injustice in a sense. So like it seems like your dad really nailed that into you, but were there other influences that you like to credit your parents for like how you were able to see the show or see the role that you did?
My mom always had to say that she's basically real life Jessica, because she is. I mean, she's got a lot in common with that character, so I kind of learned how to respond to Jessica through my mother. And like it's kind of the same as my mom. You know, my mom's parents grew up working for a restaurant, and like she grew up working in a restaurant. So all this kind of like history in my family kind of also helped me with my like, you know, persona on the show with Eddie. And I also have a little brother, so I also know how to get annoyed at my little brother too. My entire family has definitely helped me grow as an actor and helped me work on the show better.
Oh, that's awesome. So you learned how to pick around with like Emery and Evan based on like picking on your little brother, it sounds
yeah,
like.
exactly.
That's awesome. So it's you credit your parents for a lot of it, and it's just like it's like your parents are awesome. That's what I hear. And then your show parents are awesome. Constance Wu and Randall Park are
oh my gosh, yeah.
like even before the show started, they were like up and coming huge names in Asian Hollywood, Asian entertainment.
For
and
sure.
So like you credit your own parents a lot, but like what are some things that Randall Park and Constance Wu help like guide you on?
And literally just by sitting in the same room and listening to them talk and listening to them act, has like it's just like it's mind-blowing, it's incredible. It's like you learn so much just from that. I mean, Randall is like the nicest guy in the world. It's ridiculous. Like he was like on lunch break, and he noticed that like the person up front who was like managing people coming in and out didn't have like a clipboard, so he drove to Staples, bought a clipboard out of his own like wallet, and just like went back to like eating lunch after giving him a clipboard. Like he does stuff like that all the time for no need for praise. He just does it to do it because he thinks it's good. And like he's one of the biggest influences for like the kind of person I want to be. He's like my role model.
Didn't Randall Park direct like the final episode of like season 6?
Randall Park, like as Randall, as Lewis, is always popping jokes. He's laughing, he's making everyone else laugh. He's just super crazy. And then as soon as he gets into like director mode, he's serious. He's still fun. He's still really nice and happy. But he's like a different person. I feel like when I saw him direct, his vocal cords like dropped too. Because like this is Randall. Normally it's like Randall direct. It was like really weird and trippy, but he did a great job. It was really an amazing episode, and like he knew how to like help the actors act because he was working with us, and so everything went so smoothly. Like it was awesome. It was really awesome.
A big old mess later.
Yeah, when this thing wrap up? I got Trent running my restaurant, and his narcolepsy's flaring up.
I don't know how, but we did it.
I want to do everything. I'm running a script. It's taken like 3 years, and I've read like nothing because, you know, that's what happens. But totally. I'm trying to finish it. I mean, I want to write, direct, everything. I produce. It's just kind of like I want to try everything because it all seems so fun. So eventually, I'll get to it.
I don't know. I heard that you might be like in chef school. You might own a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I love cooking. My grandmother on my mom's side was the person who kind of made me fall in love with it. She'd always cook for me, and I'd cook with her, and it was always just so much fun and relaxing, and it still is relaxing. And so I decided at some point, like a couple years back, I was like, you know what? I think I could do this as a profession. If acting doesn't work out, I'll just, you know, open a restaurant or become a head chef somewhere or become a chef somewhere in general. And yeah, so I decided to take culinary classes. I'm working on my knife skills. I've been just doing everything I can to kind of become a better chef. And I love it. And I do own a restaurant. I invested in a restaurant. Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
And you said it's a Vietnamese food, or modern Vietnamese, or
modern Vietnamese. It's like the whole idea is what would happen if you took, because in Vietnam everything's pickled, and they don't have a lot of like different produce. So the idea is, what if we put like a modern supermarket or like an American supermarket in the middle of Vietnam? What kind of dishes would they create? And that's kind of what we've been working on.
It's very encouraged in the show, like Asian kids have to do well in school and go to college. Do you see yourself, going to college one day?
Right now, the whole college idea seems kind of crazy, because who's gonna pay, the incredible amount of money it is to go online college? That's not what people want,
Totally.
right? So I was thinking, like, if I do go to college and I'm gonna apply to a couple places and I get in, if Corona's still going on, I'm just gonna take a gap year, probably get a job somewhere or go travel. My dream is always to finish college and then go travel around the world working at different restaurants and in every place I can, just to like learn different culinary skills and different way people cook, and then take those ideas and make my own restaurant. That was my whole dream.
All the different activism you're doing. You are a part of a group, Act to Change. Can you?
Yeah.
And you recently joined the advisory council for that, right?
So Actor Change is a group that kind of speaks out against bullying, especially like against the Asian community and stuff like that. And I've spoken on their panels a lot, and I've become part of the advisory, and I really am kind of focused on kind of trying to fix this, because bullying is a huge issue, and especially with the influence of technology, where cyberbullying and all this stuff has become way, way, way easier. I just think it's really important that someone and a bunch of people actually speak out against it, because bullying has now kind of transgressed to a new level. Right now, people are getting bullied not just for their ethnicity, but because they're being blamed for a whole disease. Like, that's kind of crazy. When I was being bullied because I was Asian. I was being bullied because I was fat. But I was never bullied because of something my race, because of a virus. And that's just kind of ridiculous. And now just things are getting to a whole new level where it's getting kind of dangerous. And I'm really happy that I was put on the advisory so I can speak out more about bullying and how to fix it, and the impact that it has against young souls, mainly older souls.
With the current administration, Asians have been targeted more, and then especially with things called the Kung Flu virus, it's just
disgusting. I hate that.
Yeah, I exactly. But it's just because of the way that they've addressed it, it seems like more Asian people in America are specifically being targeted with different kind of hate crimes or racial slurs. Have you seen any of these in person?
I wasn't there, but my dad did go to the store, and he was gonna buy a bunch of stuff. And when he was there, he was called a chink. He was coughed on. It's just so much stuff. It's disgusting. I never thought it would happen to my family or to someone in my direct family. And hearing my dad come back and say all the stuff that happened, he was kind of stunned. It enraged me. I mean, I've been called a chink before. I've been called dumpling boy. I've been called a bunch of different slurs. And I mean, I'm not super mad about it. But when it happens to someone that I really care about, like my father or my little brother, that's when I get really, really mad.
It's you can almost tolerate it when it happens to you, but when you see it to people in your community, you don't. It's you want to step up more compared to if it's happening to you. But it's
right.
I think it's at the same time, because I'm half Japanese, so I've been bullied, and people have said oh, I'm gonna drop an A-bomb on your house or some stupid thing like that,
Yeah.
But it's and I shook it off. But it's it's at a point where it's we see it with other people, and if they can do it to us, then it's almost they can see they can do it to other people. So it's
right.
It's almost I think we're starting to see in our minds, and also from the paper your dad wrote, that it's if we see it happening to us, we have to start talking up so it stops happening to our community.
Because if we don't, what happens is they think they can get away with it. If they make fun of someone, hurt someone's feelings, or whatever, they bully someone, and then nothing happens to them, they're oh, wow, there's no punishment. I can just do this as much as I want. And that's when, that's how bullies start.
And sometimes it feels like our work isn't always heard or isn't always getting places. And a lot of people are burning out, and or they're not staying sane, and they're not being I need to continue this fight. How do you keep yourself on such a calm, generous kind of level so that you continue to fight against these injustices in a time when it's just so stressful?
I mean, it's for my family, right? The reason why I don't get burnt out fighting for, just my race is because I think about my little brother. He's growing up in this world, and he's been bullied before already, and I want that to stop. When I get tired of what I do, which I don't usually, I just think about my brother and say, holy crap, if I let this pass and no one else fights for it, my brother's gonna grow up in a world where he's freely able to be bullied and assaulted without much repercussion. And I think about my grandparents, right? My grandparents are old, they can't really defend themselves. And in New York, where my grandparents live right now, there are elderly people being assaulted, thrown around, beat up. And I think if someone doesn't fight for the Asian community, for representation, for a voice, then that's gonna be allowed to happen. My parents are gonna be allowed to be pushed, my grandparents are gonna be allowed to be pushed around. And it just drives me. Like, there's a fire lit in my heart every time I think about that. That makes me want to push harder and fight harder until like this is gone rid of. And I haven't done enough. I know I haven't. I know there's so much more I can be doing, and I haven't done it yet. And I will be doing it. I'll be trying my hardest because it's tough.
Let's be real. Our country is built on foundations of racism, and so it's just like there's always work to be done. What are like some changes you would like to see in like the future of Hollywood, essentially, like post COVID-19?
There's a lot that needs to be changed. One thing that I have been noticing is that Asian American representation has been increasing, and it's incredible. Like with all these new shows telling stories about Asian Americans, people are starting to realize, hey, you know, Asian Americans are actually profitable. We can actually do more shows, do more of this and that. And it's not just Asian Americans. There's not enough representation for like, you know, like Latinos and just every other race besides. Like everyone talks about, oh, not enough Asian or Black representation on TV, but then we kind of forget about all the others. Like there was this one show that I love. Like I think it was like called Cristela or something like that on ABC, and that was a great show, but it only made it past like I think the second season, and that was a shame. And you know, I think I do advocate for Asian American representation even more so now today. But also I want to shout out, like, you know, we need more Latino representation and Mexican representation and Indian representation on TV in American culture. We have none of them. So just hoping for a change in that.
No, totally. I mean, there's a huge Black Lives Matter movement happening, and it's been it's happening for years, but it's like especially grew recently. And then I've been seeing also a big movement for BIPOC representation, Black, Indigenous, person of color. So it sounds like you kind of like support those movements of like more representation.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
All those. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree 100% with you. And it's just like seeing Fresh Off the Boat getting 6 seasons.
They were talking about like an Indian spinoff, Fresh Off the Boat. That kind of got some weird looks because of kind of how the show's done. But, you know, I'm excited for it. We'll see how that happens. I mean, I'm ready for anything. I mean, a Thai show would be great. All these stories that have yet to be told are still out there. So if anyone who's like writing a script or wants to direct just goes like looking for those stories, they'll find incredible stories that are just sitting there unused, untapped potential.
Your character took trips to different destinations. I believe your character went to Taiwan. What was that experience like traveling the country or traveling around for the show?
That was the only time we traveled for the show.
Okay.
You know, when we were in Los Angeles, like when we were supposed to be in Disney, we were on lot. We were just in the parking lot. But yeah, we actually went to Taiwan that season, and it was crazy.
Where other place in the world have you been that you just like, or just that has inspired you?
Specifically, there's not many places that I've traveled to that like really inspired me. Maybe Japan. Japan has a crazy like history, and you know, their gun violence is almost zero, because once I was studying them, I think, I'm not sure if this is still true, but it was true. Every police officer in Japan is trained in martial arts. They have a gun, but they almost never use it, because when they deal with the fight, since nobody else has guns, it takes like 4 years to get a gun in Japan. So only cops have it really, and maybe some select people like officers and soldiers and stuff. But instead of like, you know, shooting someone or pointing a gun at them when they're like fighting, they take a mattress. They wrap them in a mattress and carry them over their shoulders to the police officers. That's what I've seen a couple photos. It's hilarious. And I just love Japan too, just not because of that, but also because it's super clean and everyone's respectful there. And it's just like kind of like the center of technological development in some like in a big way. And so if I could live anywhere in Asia, I'd definitely be there. Being
half Japanese, I didn't even know all the things you brought up about the police departments in Japan. I mean, every destination on becoming a performer has a different route. But based on the route that you've taken, do you have any advice on just like getting into the scene, or maybe even just like how to maintain yourself in that scene?
I mean, I feel like I'm a bad person to give advice, because I've been really, really, really lucky. You know, this business is really unfair, right? The thing is, for most people to get into the business, you have to have connections. You have to know someone who can, like some director, some whatever, right? And it's also a lot of being in the right place at the right time. On top of that, you still have to have talent. You still have to be able to act. But before all that, before you actually even start acting, you're already fighting, or you're already pushing to get in. Like, personally, I was lucky because my dad's been a critic for 10 years. He's gotten all the connections that I needed. He was a big reason why I was able to start acting, because he just said to his friends, hey, my son wants to be an actor. Is anything happening out there? Is any auditions going on? And they put me out on one. One of his director friends was talking about this movie. And again, it was right place, right time, right? I went to the audition, and I did well. I for my first role, I was flown out to LA. My first audition, flown out to LA. It was between me and one other kid. And the only reason why I didn't get that role was because I didn't have enough experience. I hadn't done anything before that. So they're like, oh, we really love you, but we can't really choose you because you haven't acted before. And that was a shame, but right place, right time. They were like, you know what? But we're recently talking to some of our agent friends who are looking for someone. So why don't you go out and audition for them to be an agent? So I went out and I auditioned to be casted by, for them to be my agent, and I got it. And so after getting an agent, things became a lot easier. They started putting me out for roles and eventually put me out fresh on the boat. And yeah. But I think my main tip is that even though this business is really unfair and it's really hard to get into, you just got to keep on trying. There always is a path. There's always one way in. Every door that closes in your face, there's another door open somewhere else.
And when I'm in New York, I'm auditioning for Broadway shows, but it's and I clearly haven't booked any yet, but it's every single time you go in for an audition, I feel like you learn something new, or just it preps you for the next one, right? Or that's what it sounds like you're saying. And I was I resonate really tough with that. I agree 1,000%. And you bring up a great point where it's yo, just because you didn't make it in one audition doesn't mean you're not going to make it, right?
Exactly.
Man. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge point, because there's that famous saying where it's being an actor, you have to, get used to being rejected, because if you're not in a show, you're only auditioning and you're gonna get turned down by a lot of those auditions essentially.
One of my friends was talking how she got 1,000, she wanted 1,000 auditions just to get one role, and that one role started pushing her forward, but. That happens. You can have thousands of doors closed in your face before you actually get into the business. But if that's what it takes, and if you're passionate about acting, you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to push through it.
Eddie Huang did some freestyle rap in a show. Do you ever see yourself as a rapper or a freestyle rapper as well, or
Funny story. I used to think I was gonna be a rapper, right? I used to go on interviews and say, "What do you want to do in the future?" I said, "I'm gonna be a rapper. That's what I'm gonna do." And then they'd ask me to say some bars, and I'd be like, "Oh, I can't do that." So much better.
Hit it! I'm telling you for real, I punched Neo. He could duck bullets, but he couldn't duck me. Get up! Hands feeling so refreshed, the new sheriff in town. Check the button on my vest. Yawning with the bruise around his oculus. Now I'm just cruising to Metropolis in my front optimist. Everything's half full, I'm an optimist.
It was bad. But, yeah, no, I don't like to be a rapper. I talk fast, but I can't rap,
You're 16, 17 right now. Are you still in high school?
I am. I'm about to be a senior, actually, which is crazy, because I started the show when I was in middle school, so I was in 6th grade, and now I'm going to be in 12th grade. Actually mind-blowing.
I'm so sorry that you probably have to do your first semester of senior year online, right?
Yeah, it sucks because I have not had a normal school experience since middle school. I switched schools almost every year during the show. I went from an online school to a little bit less of an online school to a school that's 45 minutes away from me that's not online, but I only go once a week, to now a school that I only go to twice a week. So I'm going up, but I'm just trying to get to 5 times a week, okay?
Are there any organizations or groups that you would like to just shout out and think they're doing great work essentially?
The hundreds of Black Lives Matter movements out there. I mean, the one in particular that really stands out to me that I really love is the Children's Leukemia Hospital in LA, especially. I mean, I think everyone's known someone who's had cancer. Both my grandparents died of cancer, and especially to the Children's Leukemia Hospital, I hate to see people with so much potential to be stuck in a hospital with leukemia. And I think they just, I mean, I don't know, you can't do anything. There's not a lot you can do. You can donate, but unless you have the cure for cancer, you have to leave it up to them people on the front lines, right?
It'd be so great just to see just where your career progresses from here on the multiple pathways you have set up right now. And then it's like they're roads right now, but you're about to make all these freeways, dude. Like, I can't wait to see where your career goes.
It's a nice quote. I like that, but yeah.
You have like any closing words you would like to share with all your fans, all the world, anything that you just want to like give out to the world right now?
I mean, I'll kind of repeat a lot what we said earlier. You know, try to stay away from bullying, wear a mask, stay safe. I mean, keep on trying, never give up on it. Even if it's not acting, even if it's just any hobby that you have. If you enjoy it, keep it up. I mean, yeah, it's been a great talking to you, dude. I've learned a lot about myself just during this interview. I talk so much and I started thinking, wait, that's true. I like that. Yeah, I learned a lot about myself, more about me, and I'm really glad I did this interview. Yeah.
Hudson, thank you so much for chatting with us today on VmediArts The Green Room, and congratulations on the historic, successful birth of your career, and let's be real, end of your life. And like I said, I can't wait to go to your restaurant later on. Like, ooh, I'm getting hungry just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Well, this is Oscar Tsukayama for VmediArts. We'll be back soon in the green room to talk with other actors while we patiently wait to return to our homes, on the stage, on the lot, or wherever your curtain may rise. Until then, wear a mask, and we'll be waiting here in the green room.